Hello, I'm Reverend Sam, and I'm your host on The Secret of Glory and Power. Now, in recent time, I started a series on the richest man in Babylon. It's a book that was written in the year 1926. It's an ancient wisdom that was used in Babylon, and that wisdom made a lot of people to become wealthy in the land of Babylon at that time. And Babylon was not a land that was too fertile, but by these principles that these men shared, we discovered that Babylon became the envy of nations. And after I read that book and I digested it about 14 years ago, I began to practice the principle that was therein. And it began to work for me. And so I developed a series of teachings for our church back then in Nigeria. And I taught them for 2.5 years on the secret of how to make money, how to keep money, and how to make your money work for you. And I believe that, you know, the uniqueness of this book is that it consists of story of men who started their life in abject poverty. And within less than 20 years, they became the richest man in that whole land. And I believe the same testimony can become yours also. And that's why I felt that since this book and the principle became so impactful in my life, it became so impactful, I started a microfinance business. It became so impactful, I can speak on financial management, and I've come to discover wisdom does not change. Dispensation can change. People can die, but principles does not change. The application may have to be adjusted a little bit, but the principles remain the same. So, I'm continuing on the second set of stories. And we have the story of Akkad. Last time, I spoke to you about how the chancellor of the king was bothered that the king built irrigations and money was taken from the government treasury and paid to workers. And then the king built a lot of temples for their gods. But after a while, the money seems to have disappeared. And the chancellor was worried. And the chancellor said, "Where has all the money gone?" And they discovered that the money came from the treasury of the king, entered into the hand of majority of the people in Babylon, but the money filtered out of their hand into the hand of very few people. And one of those few people is Akkad. He is renowned in that time as the richest man in Babylon. And the king said to him, "Can you teach others how to succeed?" And Akkad said, "Get me 100 men. I will teach them the principles. I want them to practice it. When they know how it works, then they should teach another generation." He has taught me by book. I've practiced it for more than 10 years. And now, I think I'm qualified to teach you also. Now, the first principle he told them was save 10% of every income that you have. And I'm going to go to the second principle today, which is control your expenditure. Control what you spend your money on. And of course, it's a book, so I'm going to keep reading and explaining as I go ahead. Now, some of your members, my students, have asked me this: how can a man keep 1/10 of all he earns in his purse when all the coins he earns are not enough for his necessary expenses? So did Akkad address his students upon the second day. Yesterday, how many of you carry lean purse, in other words, empty bank account? All of them raised their hand, answered the class. Yet, thou do not all earn the same. In other words, you don't earn the same amount of money. Some earn much more than others. Some have much larger family to support. Yet, all purses are equally empty. Now, I will tell you an unusual truth about men and sons of men. And this is it: that what each of us call our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our income unless we protest to the contrary. What is he saying? Let us say you are earning $1,000 now. Your expenses, you are able to control it to $1,000. Let's say you get a second job, or you have an increment in your office, and then your salary was increased by 30%, and now you are earning $1,300. Now, what he is saying is that the ancient principle and observation of men have come to discover that just like your income increase, you will suddenly discover that your expenses will also increase to swallow the extra $300. That's what he's saying. Now, confuse not, and he said, it will keep growing except you react to it. Except you say, no, I am not going to increase my expenses because my income has increased. If you do not react, you will discover that your expenses will keep increasing. Your wife will demand for something more. Your kids will demand for something more. You yourself will demand for better car, better clothes. You want to change your phone. You want to change your wristwatch. But the point is, you can say no. That's what he's saying. Confuse not the necessary expenses with your desires. Each of you, together with your good families, have more desire than your earnings can satisfy. All of us, we have more desire than our earnings can satisfy. Therefore, are your earnings spent to gratify these desires in so much far as they will go? Still, thou remaineth many ungratified desires. All men are burdened with more desires than they can gratify. Because of my wealth, do you think that I can gratify every desire? That's a false idea. There are always limits to my time. There are limits to my strength. There are limits to the distance I may travel. There are limits to what I may eat. There are limits to the things I can enjoy. I say to you that just as wheat grow in a field, we identify the farmer leave space for their roots. Even so, freely do desires grow in men, wherever there is a possibility of their being gratified. Your desires are a multitude, and those that thou may gratify, they are very few. In other words, don't respond to every desire. That's what he's saying. He said desire is just like wheat. You know, when you have land, wheat will always grow. It is you that have to keep uprooting them. That's the way desire is. That's what the man is saying. Study thoughtfully your accustomed habit of living. Herein may be the most often found certain accepted expenses that may wisely be reduced or eliminated. Let your motto be 100% of appreciated value demanded for each coin spent. What is he saying? He says, sit down, write down all your expenses. He said you will suddenly discover that there are certain expenses that are not necessary, or they can be deferred, or they can be reduced. You are spending $100, you can find another way to spend 70, to spend 60. That's what I've even discovered in my own life also. Therefore, engrave upon the clay each thing for which thou desire to spend. Select those that are necessary and others that are possible through the expenditure of 9/10 of your income. Cross out the rest and consider them but a part of that great multitude of desire that must go unsatisfied, and regret them not. He said, budget then your necessary expenses. Don't touch 1/10 that is fattening in your purse. Let this be your great desire that is being fulfilled. Keep working with a budget. Keep adjusting it to help you. Make it your first assistant in defending your savings. Whereupon one of the students, wearing a robe of red and gold, arose and said, I am a free man. I believe that it is my right to enjoy the good things of life. Therefore, do I rebel against the slavery of a budget which determines just how much I may spend and for what? I feel it will take much pleasure from my life and make me little more than a pack ass to carry a burden. To him, Akkad replied, who, my friend, will determine your budget? I will make it for myself. The man replied, in that case, where a pack ass to budget his burden, will he include therein jewels and rock and heavy bars of gold? He said, not so. He will include hay and grain and a bag of water for his desert trade. The purpose of a budget is to help your purse to fatten, to increase your bank account. It is to assist you to have your necessities and insofar as attainable thy other desires. It is to enable you to satisfy thy most cherished desire by defending them from the casual wishes like a bright light in a dark cave. Your budget show up, they leak from your purse and enable you to stop them and control your expenditure for definite and gratifying purposes. What does he say? He's saying that, listen, my friend, because one of them students said, how can I be a slave? How can I work and I allow one budget to now begin to determine how I enjoy my life? And Akkad said, my friend, who make the budget? He said, I do. He said, so why are you saying you are a slave to a budget that you make yourself? If you are traveling in a desert, what will you take along? Will you take gold? Will you take silver? Or will you take hay for your donkey and water for yourself? The man said, donkey and water. He said, exactly. What you need right now is what you should plan for in your budget. Forget about other desires that can be delayed. That way, you'll be able to keep 1/10 of your income in your bank account. He said, do everything to protect that 1/10. Don't spend it. If they say somebody died in Nigeria, somebody died in your village, don't spend it. If you cannot afford anything from the 9/10, don't touch the 1/10. Remember, that 1/10 is the security of the future, the treasure you are trying to build. And if you are not careful, every time you build it, somebody will tell you something that want to make you to spend it. You must say no. That way, you begin to increase. Now, this then is the second cure for a lean purse. Budget your expenses, that you may have coins to pay for the necessities, to pay for your enjoyment, and to gratify any desire that you can afford without touching 1/10, the 1/10 that you have kept for yourself. And then let's quickly go to the third cure. He said the third cure is, or the third principle for increasing your wealth: make your gold multiply. Make your gold multiply. The truth is that when you start saving the 1/10, you'll be happy you're having something in your account. But another lesson you've got to learn is that if you do not know how to invest the one you are saving, inflation will eat up the value of your savings. So make your goal to multiply. Behold, your lean purse is now fattening. You have disciplined yourself to live therein 1/10 of all you earn. Thou hast controlled your expenditure to protect the growing treasure. Next, we will consider means to put your treasure to labor and to increase. Gold in a purse is gratifying to own and satisfy the miserable soul, but earn nothing. The gold we may retain from our earning is but the start. In other words, the 1/10 that you save is just the beginning. The earnings that 1/10 will make shall build you your fortune. The 1/10 you save is just the beginning. It is the treasure that the 1/10 you save begins to give you, like maybe you invest it and then you're having return on investment. He said that is what builds you a fortune. Now, however, how therefore may we put our gold to work? My first investment was unfortunate, for I lost it all. It's a tale I will relate later. My first profitable investment was a loan I made to a man named Agar, a shield maker. Once each year did he buy large shipment of bronze brought from across the sea to use in his trade. Lacking sufficient capital to pay the merchants, he will borrow from those who had extra coins. He was an honorable man. His borrowing will be repaid, together with liberal interest, as he sold his shield. Each time I loaned him, I loaned back also the rental he had paid to me. In other words, when he started loaning the guy will pay the money back with interest. And the next time the guy wants to borrow money, he will not only loan him what he has saved, he will also loan him the profit that he has made from his former rentals. Now, each time I loaned to him, I loaned back also the rental he has paid to me. Therefore, not only did my capital increase, but his earning likewise increased. Most gratifying was it to have these sums returned to my purse. I tell you, my student, a man's wealth is not in the coins he carries in his purse. Your wealth is not in what you have in your bank account. It is the income you build, the golden stream that continually flow into your account and keep it always budging. That is what every man desire. That is what you, each one of you desire. An income that continue to come, whether you work or you travel. Great income I have acquired, so great that I am called a very rich man. My loan to Aga was my very first training in profitable investment. Gaining wisdom from this experience, I extended my loans and investments as my capital increased. From a few sources at first, from many sources later, flowed into my purse a golden stream of wealth, available for such wise uses as I should desire. Behold, from my humble earning, I had gotten a horde of golden slaves. He called his money that worked for him slaves. He said, from my humble earning, I have gotten a horde of golden slaves, each laboring and earning more gold. As they labor for me, so their children also labor, and their children's children also labor, until great was the income from their combined effort. The children is talking, what he called children is that when you invest money, the profit you make for it, he called them the children. And then when he also invests the profit, then the profit make more profit, he called down the children's children. And then, you know, the profit that make more profit, he invests again, and then that's what he called great-great-grandchildren. And he said that's how he built his wealth. Now, let's go ahead. Gold increased rapidly when making reasonable earning, as you will see from the following. A farmer, when his first son was born. Now, there's a story here I want you to learn, and I will try to make sure I finish this story before we finish this episode. He said, a farmer, when his first son was born, took 10 pieces of silver to a money lender and asked him to keep it on rental for his son until he became 20 years of age. This the money lender did, and agreed the rental should be 25% of its value every 4 years. The farmer asked, because this sum he had set aside as belonging to his son, that the rental be added to the principal. In other words, he said he just roll it over. You know, every 4 years he has 25%, and then 25% go upon the principal, and then the following 4 years, that's what it did. When the boy had reached the age of 20, the farmer again went to the money lender to inquire about the silver. The money lender explained that because this sum had been increased by compounded interest, the original 10 pieces of silver had now grown to 30 and a half pieces. The farmer was well pleased, and because the son did not need the coins, he left them with the money lender. When the son became 50 years of age, the farmer, meantime, having passed on to the other side, he died. The money lender paid the sum in settlement, 167 pieces of silver to the son. It took 50 years. But the truth is that at the age of 50, the boy, the young man, who is now 50, became wealthy beyond human expectation. So, in 50 years, had the investment multiplied itself at rental almost 17 times. This then is the third cure for a lean purse, to put each coin to laboring, that it may reproduce its kind, even as the flock of the field, and help bring to thee income, a stream of wealth that shall flow constantly into your purse. Let me say something here. Those of us that watch the first and second episode, Akkad, you know, he said when he started, he said that he lost his first year earning. What happened? He saved 10% for a whole year. Then he had this man that was traveling to another city, and the man is a specialist in goat skin. But the man said to Akkad, I'm traveling. I want to go buy things from a far east. You want me to, you know that if you have money, We can buy gold, and then I will bring it back, and then we sell it for a higher price, and then we make more money. Akkad, thinking that he wanted to invest his money, gave his money to this guy. When he got there, those people that the guy wanted to sell, want to buy the gold from, they were swindlers. They sold him ordinary glass. When he came back, he discovered that it was ordinary glass. It was worthless. That was how Akkad lost his first year savings. When the man that was teaching him came and he told that man, the man said, you have lost your money. Because the guy you gave your money to does not deal in gold, does not deal in silver. He deals in gold skin. If he had told you he wanted to use the money to buy gold skin, you can trust your money to him because, one, he has experience. Two, his money is also there. But you give your money to a skin seller to buy gold for you, you messed it up. Now, this is what it means. As you begin to gather your money, I have lost a lot of money as you are looking at me. I've lost a lot of money. But I learned when I began to read these things that I should not trust my money to the hand of those who are not qualified to manage them. How are they qualified? If they have an existing business. In fact, that was one of my foundational principles for the microfinance business I started. I don't give people money to start a new business. Because go and use your own money to try it out. If you succeed, I can give you money to increase your capital, but you won't use my money to start a new business. Don't, if you want to invest in furnitures, give your money to a furniture maker. If you want to invest in cars, give your money to someone that has been going to auction, buying cars. They know where to get the parts. They know how to go to junkyard and get the spare parts for cheap and place them, and they know how to sell them. When you give your money to such people with written agreement in case they default, because you see, the money lender that he talked about was an honorable man. The man was able to keep his agreement. Many people are not faithful. I've had that kind of encounter in my life. You give money to people, it becomes difficult for you to collect your money back. But when you see people, that's why you've got to be careful. Spread your risk. The money you saved, don't put everything into one business. Even if it is you that is doing the business. Because you don't know the circumstances that may arise. I do business and I know that things may come up that you never anticipated. That's why it is better for you to split your risk. Part of your money, give it to people who are experienced in their business. Sign a contract, a contractual agreement with them. Don't give people money based on trust. Even if it's your father, your mother, your son, your daughter, your wife, let there be written agreement. I can't say that enough. Because when it comes to money, people can change you. I'm telling you the truth. Even the ones we have agreement, when they don't have the money, especially back in Nigeria, you take the case to police. The police will still be asking you to give them money so that they can go and arrest the guy. When they arrest the guy, they will still make a deal with the guy, and then they will come back to you and say you have to relax. And so I've come to discover something. The path to prosperity is risky, but a man that will not take risk will remain poor all his life. So that's what happened to Akkad. He lost his first year earning, but he continued again, and by the second year, he gathered another. In 1 year, there are 12 months in a year. If you save 1/10 of your income, that means in 12 months, you will have made 120% of your earning. At least your month salary and above. And he gathered that and gave it to a man that deals in sheep. That one goes to a far place, buy sheep, bring it back to Babylon and sell. And then he began to build his business. He began to increase his money. And I believe that, you see, what I'm talking about now is not something you can accomplish in 1 year. But the truth is that if you make up your mind to start now, listen, 5 years is not far from now. 10 years is not far from now. You can start something that you will leave to your children. You can start something that will make the future better for you. And listen, you know, I've spoken about two things today. Number one, I said, control your expenses. And number two, I said, learn how to make your money work for you. I can't say it enough. And my prayer is that you put these things to use. Because I see that in the church of God, I'm a servant of God, I see that majority of people are poor. When I say poor, not necessarily that they are earning less than $2,000 or $3,000 a month. But the truth of the matter is that they are making maybe $3,000, $4,000, but their expenses are probably more than that. So apart from their salary, they still have credit cards. And Solomon said, a borrower is a slave to the lender. Although Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, told us that there is what is called good loan and bad loan. Any loan that you take, that you invest in a business that you can control, and maybe you are supposed to pay 8% as interest on the loan, but by using the money, you are able to make 12%, 15%. That means out of the percentage increase you make, you can as well, you know, pay the interest and still have something for yourself. That's what is called good debt. If you are going to involve in a debt, get credit card. Use the credit card to buy things that will increase you, so that after you have paid the credit card, you have paid the interest, if necessary, you will have some things in return. Listen, my prayer is that God will help you to understand what I'm saying. If you need more insight into this secret, now there's a book I'm writing right now, and I'm trusting that, because you see, this secret is so timeless, that I desire to put it in the hand of as many as possible. This book is out of print. I was able to get it only because many years ago, I paid and downloaded it on my iPad. I can't even bring it out on my iPad. But I felt like, okay, since I understand the principles, I can as well write them, and my own experience also, I add it to it, and I give it to people that are serious-minded. And I'm trusting God that within the next 1, 2, or 3 months, it will be out by the grace of God. But listen, if you have questions, you can call the number. You can send me a message on email. I will reply you. And I want you to be a part of, our ministry. Listen, there's a program that we are going to have by 14th of September. It's a program, it's All Believers Conference. God said, I will arise and I will scatter all your enemies. So I want you to get yourself ready for breakthrough, because something great will happen to you. Until I come your way again, I remain your host, Reverend Sam. And this is the secret of glory and power. God bless you. Bye-bye.